the game of Go, or Wei Chi, or Baduk, it goes by a fair few bit of names, is a fairly simple game in principle. But because of its very simple rules, it can get really complicated really fast. In this video, I want to introduce you to the game of Go in a way that will allow you to play at a very beginner's level and try and push you to move on to the next level, a professional level if you want to reach it, but also good enough to impress your friends because you actually know what's going on in this game. The basic rules of Go are as such. You want to surround territory or board space in order to acquire points. If, say, you wanted to capture an opponent's pieces, you want to surround their pieces, all their board spaces, and then you can take their piece. And in the event that you find yourself in a repeating move type situation, you can't just play the same board state, a previous board state. You can't repeat moves over and over again for infinity. You have to play somewhere else. That's a horrible move, by the way. Don't actually do that in the real game. And, white can play elsewhere if they wanted to, and then you can go ahead and take it. And then white can't repeat that move. They have to play somewhere else first. And you can play somewhere else too, or play here. But generally, you cannot repeat moves in this game. When pieces are connected like such, they are called a group. And when they are a group, they share liberties. As in, considering these are with the same entity, they have this much liberties or breathing space on the board. Spaces that the pieces are directly connected to that are empty. So, if we wanted to capture this, of course, this is a bit of a situation. You can take those pieces as such. The odd thing, however, is when you play in the corners, such as this, or at the edge, such as this. Black in the corner, if he places the pieces here, has only 2 spaces. Has only 2 liberties, breathing rooms, empty spaces directly connected to them. On the edge, there's only 3, meaning that it takes extra moves, it takes less moves to capture pieces on the directly connected to the edge or directly connected to the corner. As such, you might think that playing in the corner is a bad move and you should never do it, but there are cases where it's actually a good thing. And that is through the formation of eye shapes. Eye shapes are the one here, as shown in this space where I've put 3 more pieces here to make the least amount of pieces to form an eye shape. Or rather, this is enough room to fill in a space where no matter if white cannot play in here, supposing you are the opponent, because if white were to play here, they have no spaces here. They have no breathing room, so they would instantly die. However, in such a case such as this, such as the top right corner, as you can see, as I've said before, you are allowed to effectively play in a space where a piece has no breathing room if there is a way for you to capture a piece. As such, this is known as a false eye, even though white normally couldn't play here. If white can capture a piece such as that, it becomes essentially, well, you can capture it. It's a false eye. White can play in there given good conditions. However, in a real eye, white cannot just simply take one piece and intrude on here. This is what an eye shape is. However, this eye shape is not alive. A group is alive if it has two eyes. In the event that it only has one eye and white manages to surround it completely, white can simply capture and take all of the pieces within that eye group that has only one eye. In order to make two eyes, generally you want to have this many pieces at the very least. Of course, you can fill in that middle one, but this is the least amount. Either or here, here, or if you feel like it here, it really does not matter too much, because in the event that white tries to surround these two pieces, if white were to place here, well, it has no liberties, it has no breathing room, so it instantly dies. And if white were to try and capture this group by placing it here, it can't do so. And in a normal game of Go, unless you're playing a different version with your own rules, you cannot place two pieces at once. And because this group has two spaces where white cannot place its own pieces in to kill this group, it is effectively alive. There is no way to kill it, there is no way to capture any of the pieces, it is permanently on the board, hence the term alive. However, you need two real eyes, such as this Panuki here, in the event that, well, say that you wanted to, this is not a real eye because white can simply intrude, and because of the rules of Go, you can't just simply repeat the move. And as such, white can simply reduce this to one eye, and as you can see, this is Among Us shape, which is not exactly the strongest, unless of course it's on the edge as such, wherein it has two eyes here. But because it only has one eye here, if white manages to completely surround this space, such as such, no matter what black does, it's captured. Generally, because of how the board works and how liberties work as well, it actually takes less space to make an eye on the edge and on the corners. As you can see here, this is one full eye. Black cannot play here because it's only two liberties if it were to place here. Why don't we go ahead? Here and here are already taken, so it just instantly dies and you can't play there. Also, the game will generally forbid you from doing so. In the corner, well, again, if black tries to play in the middle of this group on the edge, all three of its liberties are already taken, and thus black would be automatically captured. You just give white, in this case, a free captured piece, which is just one free point for them. And you're generally not allowed to do that unless you had some rules sets that allow that, but generally it is not allowed. In the game of Go, there are a few tactics and strategies to cover more territory and to expand your groups. The ones in black here are the four basic ones, and the ones I've shown in white are a slight extension of how you can expand your territory. Generally, most players, when they hear when they hear about the rule that you're supposed to capture territory, they'll do something as simple as simply connecting their pieces slowly and slowly, expanding here and here very, very slowly. This is generally very, very safe to do because it makes your group stronger and it keeps them connected very, very directly. But it's incredibly slow, clunky, and generally it allows the opponent to just simply block you in the event that they want to. With the one space jump, it is faster to expand with the same amount of pieces. As you can see here, if black were to try and expand with these pieces here, it's incredibly little room that they can really grab. But compared to this, they can grab all this room here, which is generally very good for slightly fast expansions here and there. The diagonal is one of those good moves where it allows you to extend your pieces and also keeps them connected. Because suppose you were to play, if say white, whether you are playing as white and you want to cut your opponent and try and disconnect their pieces, because if they're disconnected, you can take that piece there, right? Suppose they try and invade here. As black, you can simply connect here. And if white, whether it is you who's invading or whether it's your opponent that's invading, whether it is your opponent playing black or you can simply connect and keep your pieces connected as such. There's also the fact that if white were to play here, well, or rather here, because I don't want to intrude on these pieces and make them appear like they're in the thing, you can simply threaten to have only one breathing space, basically threaten to capture them. Essentially, they, put this piece in what is called Atari, as in this one piece or group only has one breathing room and it only takes one extra move for you to capture their piece or group. And that is generally a nice move, because no matter what your opponent does, they're going to have a hard time trying to cut it, because all you have to do is place one piece in the other corner where your opponent places. Because if your opponent plays here, you just play on the other side. And, same thing. Those spaces, those areas you can play at, the spaces you can play at, are called miai, because they're just the same thing. They accomplish the same thing, and effectively, no matter what your opponent does, either or is either in your favor, or if this was your opponent, it would be in their favor. And the last one is a knight's jump, similar to knights, the knights in chess, where you just do like an L shape as such, jump here. Now, this has a interesting scenario where you can cut this very easily by placing on the saddle points of this knight's jump attached to the rider or attached to the horse. I'm not sure how it goes. I took this strategy from someone else's puzzles. You can look them up here, but generally, regardless, you can flip it around or mirror it. It's easy to keep it disconnected, because if black tries to do something as such, white can simply cut, and this piece is on its own. There's no way to keep it connected. And the same goes for the other side. If white were to try and do this, black tries to connect them both, white cuts, and they are disconnected. That is the one way you can attack the knights if you are playing as the opponent there. Generally, if you're playing as black, you can also figure out different ways to defend it, and if you have extra pieces around this, generally it's never these pieces in isolation. A simple cut, if your opponent tries to cut your knight's jump, they will have a hard time trying to capture either or you can always end up, there's a lot of different possibilities, because like even in this case here, you can simply do this, and it's never quite immediate because whatnot. It's just a simple game of Go, and I'll get around to what I mean by that, but this is just the basic strategies and tactics, which helped me a lot get started at playing the game, because it actually made me good at the game. Now, the four moves in white are somewhat extensions of the moves next to each other. This group, also known as the iron pillar, or pillaring because it directly connects, it makes a solid, sturdy pillar. This is similar to the one space jump. These two are somewhat connected because, as you can see here, let's start with the one space jump. If you wanted to secure territory very easily, if there aren't any opponent pieces quite nearby, you can generally do a two space jump. And generally, it comes down to whenever you want to do a jump of sorts, you want to know if what you're extending from. Generally, you don't want to just throw a piece in the middle of nowhere if you already have pieces on the board, or if you're playing on a 19 by 19 grid, sometimes you just have to play at the corners and have like 4 different groups in isolation doing their own thing. Now, when it comes to extensions, it's generally how many pieces you have already, and aka those pieces there, plus 1. So I have 1 piece here. So if I wanted to expand it and there weren't any black pieces nearby, imagine that these don't exist right now. Pretend that these don't exist. You can safely do a 2-space jump and be perfectly safe and have a lot of time and room to secure your territory. In this here, on the top left, we have 2 pieces connected together, an iron pillar of sorts. So if we wanted to extend from it, we can do 2 plus 1, so right here. Which, you know, because of all the pieces here, we have a lot of leeway and freedom to really secure our territory. No matter how we play, no matter how the opponent tries to invade us or tries to attack us, we generally have enough for it. When it comes to these 2 bottom ones, these are simply big diagonal and big knight's jump. The knight's jump is also referred to as keima, and the big knight's jump is referred to as dai keima. Dai meaning big, and keima is knight's jump. The big diagonal is a nice way to secure points. Rather, you know, it's a bit of a bigger greedy move, but it works if if you aren't in an immediate danger and you are feeling confident enough that you can secure it no matter how your opponent plays in each of these areas anyway. It's a nice way to expand very, very hugely if you want to play like that. The knight's jump is also the same way, and these are just generally the same method of like how you can expand your territory, expand even bigger, better than the 1-space jump, the diagonal, and the knight's jump. You might think of them as like simple combinations of each other. Like, honestly, the knight's jump may also be seen as a 1-space jump and then also a diagonal, right? Because you're placing a piece here and then you're adding like a little bit of a jump there away from, or you know, it's a 1-space jump there, but then you want to diagonal it a little bit. And the knight's jump, well, you know, basically same thing, a bit of a combination of both. And also, that's generally how. Those are the simple tactics I can use in a real game to essentially expand your territory and prevent your opponent from really having a easy time invading, because anything that tends to be at least if anything that tends to be bigger than the black tactics as shown here, your opponent will have a hard time breaking through. But with the white tactics, your opponent might have an easier time breaking through, and it really is something that I'm introducing to you simply because it might be something that you want to try out and experiment with in this game of Go. However, you might have realized that in spite of everything I've taught you here, with all these strategies here, and all the stuff here, I have not really taught you what the hell goes on in a real game. What are all those weird pieces, and why do they, how do they know how to play in an opponent's like territory? Because like if they like someone does this, and the board state is like something like this, right? And then black just plays here, like, oh my goodness, what is this? And then white tries and does this, and then like they do this, and then like white does this, black does this. What's going on? What is like almost all of this? And then here, oh no, like this piece in Centauri, it's gonna get captured. White tries to save it, and black does this, and then white tries to do this, and then black is like gonna play elsewhere, and white tries to, oh hey, it's an Atari, oh my goodness, and then like black does this and captures all of these pieces, like, wow, look at that. And all white can do, that piece is Atari because like it's at the edge. Oh my goodness, now he has to secure that. And then like black tries to do something like this. Oh no, if he plays here, it's gonna cut this piece apart. So white tries to protect. What's going on? What's going on with all this? Generally, when it comes to a real game of Go, you're gonna have to do something called reading ahead, looking into the future and seeing what you can do, how the board and the game is gonna go if you play a certain way. Because say black just keeps playing and doing his like weird stuff here, but these two groups have like two liberties. So if you were to play like here or something, and if black tries to play somewhere else, then you can just capture it. But so you go ahead and black does, but then you play here, but then black captures like that. You didn't read far enough ahead. You didn't anticipate black's response necessarily. If you just thought, if you were just thinking to yourself, oh hey, this group only has two liberties, so I don't play here. Well, you didn't anticipate that both of these spaces here are actually Miai to like save, connect it to this other group, and also capture whatever piece that you had planned on invading here with to instantly do so. Plus, even if you did try to, even if that was your aim, say to reduce it to one eye, well, why don't you try and like go ahead and do that? Black just keeps doing it. Wow, would you look at that? Black just does this. You try and do something. You try to surround this black eye because it only has one eye. You think you could like take it, but then you don't have to worry about it. So then black just plays like elsewhere, and then you do this. Oh my goodness, only one liberty. Black is like taunting you, teasing you. Captured. Oh my goodness. Now, now what black can just connect however he wants here. Plus, this is also effectively one eye because like no matter what you do as white here, and if black just keeps doing his own thing and you try and do this, well, white can't play here. Oh my goodness, it's basically an eye, because white can't play here, or else it's an automatic capture because it's connected to all these groups. And if white plays here, then there's no breathing room for this group, for this large group. And effectively, when it comes to playing the game of Go, well, simply put, you kind of just have to look ahead, read ahead. You have to know, like, what you plan to do next, what your opponent's planning to do next. And one of the things that you should know as well is that any move that your opponent makes is generally a good move. And, if white can do a one-space expansion, like a one-space extension here, or a two-space extension, because, like, all of its pieces are kind of free. Or if I wanted to do, a diagonal, that's a good move. Kind of restricts, what, you want to do, and then you can play from there. You don't really need too much of a crazy thing here, and well, you know, that's just how you can basically get it to work. The game of Go is just basically all these huge, complicated, not really complicated, but all these basic principles kind of applied, and you know, some basic tactics here and there, which hopefully will help you understand what goes on in regular game or whatever game that you like to analyze and see. But generally, if you're watching like some actual professionals, they'll place pieces in like very, very weird and different areas, that because they can like read 24 moves in advance and consider every single different decision you can make. Because like, here's the thing: white can play here, white can play here, white can even invade. Like there's like try and secure this entire edge here. White can try and invade here. White could do various things. Pros are really not going to consider the bad moves because, well, such as playing in the corner with like 2 liberties, because they know they don't have to worry about it, plus it's not worth much, and even if you do somehow successfully turn it into something, it's not going to be much in the grander scheme of things. So no matter what, when it comes down to it, generally they consider all the best possible moves, and that's just how it is. When it comes to professionals, it's not like I'm not a professional. I'm not like considered a professional yet until I reach a 1-dan ranking. Rankings you don't have to worry about at all. You're just more focused on playing the game for now. Generally are able to read like a lot of moves in advance. As for how many, I could not tell you, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said 100, because sometimes it just feels like that. Some people, some even professionals who fight other professionals are like utterly surprised at how far ahead some of the other players they go up against in a professional field can read ahead on. And it's genuinely insane in a lot of ways because of how the game of Go is. And if you see, like, if you've watched like some videos on some commentary guy going, oh hey, why don't I explain this game of Go to you, but you still don't understand what's going on? Well, the thing is that the commentator is actually showing you like what's going, like trying to play out the game for you, expecting you to have already a somewhat basic understanding and like decent knowledge and skill in this game. And generally, like, they'll play it out, like, say, you know, white has some good moves, like here black can, you know, extend, you know, try and like do here and then play here next and extend here, you know, like do this. And no matter what white plays to try and invade, like white's just gonna be kind of screwed. White can try and play here, but black can also just kind of secure this. And these are also known as Panuki shapes, just to let you know. But they'll try and play through the game for you and try and show you, because generally pros, whenever they play the game, quite literally do everything in their head. So like if black plays here, white plays here, what's gonna happen here? Well, black has many different ways he can ignore it and just play here, and let's see what happens. You know, black can do this, white can do this, extend here, and you know, white can now try and secure this territory for himself. Black tries an invasion, blocks. Then we have something like this. White tries this. He tries to block here. White tries that, and then black does that. This group is not really going to be alive unless somehow all this stuff. Oh no, look at that. White managed to form two eyes here because no matter what black tries to play, you know, black can't do anything to this group at all. So that's just kind of like how, you can see, generally that's like within this entire move, like there are many different ways that it could have gone with. I just kind of played a simple kind of game here, and like white can just play here, and then black plays here, right, to try and defend and protect and whatnot. White does this, black does this. If they try and play here, it's like you can't, stuff like that tends to happen, and it's hard for me to explain because I'm generally bad at explaining things, especially with a game as complicated as Go, because you can have a fair few bit of things that can get real overcomplicated because of just how crazy this game can get. But generally, the more games you play, the more scenarios you'll find yourself kind of repeating. And you'll kind of recognize patterns here and there, right? And so, basically, as you play through the game, you'll recognize a few patterns. And, of course, there are a few other things that you can do here. Such as life and death puzzles, wherein, you're trying to form two eyes, and, well, you basically want to, like, read ahead. Supposing, like, this is a bit of a more complicated problem, so maybe I shouldn't have shown you quite a fair bit of it. There's also, like, a bunch of puzzles and tutorials. All these are very good. You have resources on onlinego.com. online-go.com/puzzles. There are a lot of resources for you to basically access and get used to the game and practice doing stuff. Life and death puzzles are one of the things you can do without actually playing a game to help you practice, like, reading ahead, and also help you recognize how to both kill groups and how to keep your groups alive, and recognize situations where, you have to be forced to make mutual life, or Seki, as it's called. Generally, whoever plays first loses. There are many other different situations and different types of terms, such as, if white were to play here and successfully disconnect these, this is called a cut, or a kiri. Generally, most people who play Go use the Japanese term since it becomes really popular, and it's more popular there, and it kind of had more development and all sorts of stuff historically, and it's not really important for you to get into the game of Go, but it is something that you should be aware of. In this type of case, no matter who plays first, if white were to play here, they'd only have one liberty, and as soon as black plays here, that group is captured. That's not good. So if black plays somewhere else, but then, white tries to capture this, oh boy, white only has one liberty, and white can just go ahead, black can go ahead and just copy all, or capture all those white pieces. This is a state of mutual life. Nobody can capture the other, because as soon as one person plays first, they are utterly and completely screwed, and their entire piece there is just plain captured. So whoever makes the first mistake and think that, oh hey, I can capture the other piece, they're just screwed. And generally, when it comes to different boards, there are stuff like the 9x9, which you should start off as if you're a beginner. There's like different types of patterns here and that you can learn, and this is the best way to learn how to play the game. Once you've gotten used to 9x9, you can move on to the 13x13, which is more exciting, more fun, more everything of the sort. And the full size, the 19x19, is the biggest size that normally it will go to. There are, of course, custom board sizes, as you can see here, extreme board sizes, 25 by 25, 21 by 21, 5 by 5, 19, rectangular stuff, and then there's like custom sizes there. Generally, the reason why most professionals stick to the 19 by 19 board is because of what it represents, the four corners, the edges. All these numbers mean everything. It has like something connected to like the greater universe and blah blah blah. Culturally, it means a lot, and this is going to be the final board you ever play at. Most professionals are not going to go to like 21 by 21, 25 by 25, or higher. Also, because that anything larger than a 19 by 19 has so many possible variations and complexities that it becomes stupidly annoying to even consider. You start to lose track of a lot of things really, really quickly. Any size above this is incredibly, stupidly difficult. But it's also the funnest ones. And also, for reference, 9 by 9 games are going to go by incredibly quickly. 13 by 13 games last a bit longer, and 19 by 19 games tend to last longest. And it really depends on your rule sets. Again, generally, some people have like timers and within the professional setting and whatnot. I'm not professional. I would like to become one, but generally, for your first introduction of Go, all you really need to worry about are essentially the basic rules. You want to secure territory, or you want to secure territory with your pieces, right? And if your opponent were to place a piece, you want to, that you can capture it. And in the event that you're in the situation where you have a chance of repeating a move, you can't. You can't play here, and you have to play somewhere else. And within tactics, you can do a one space jump. You can try and extend with a pillar, a simple connection. You could try and do a diagonal, or you can do a knight's jump. You went from here to here, here to here, here to here, and here to here. Knight's jump, diagonals, all sorts of random stuff. Iron pillar, one space jump, diagonal, and knight's jump. These four moves are generally your safest, and of course you can also do stuff like 3 space jump, 2 space jump, big diagonal, big knight's jump, and at the end of all this stuff, all of it just comes down to experience, getting to know the patterns as you play the game, because the more games you play, the more you get used to all the patterns and such. And from here, you're basically ready to go. You should be able to understand everything. And in the event that you still don't understand what I mean by everything that I've said, all I can really say is that, well, you gotta play more games. You have to, because as you play the game, you'll understand what I'm trying to do, all the weird stuff that happens inside a real game, all the patterns and stuff that's emerged. Because as you play a game, you kind of notice that a lot of patterns tend to re-emerge. You see a lot of these, like, these types of patterns, these types of shapes here. This shape here. And, it can be horizontal as well, like that. Those types of shapes tend to emerge, and as you play through the game, it kind of just goes through. You'll see a bunch of shapes and different, like, patterns emerge just from playing the game. And you'll learn a lot by effectively doing that. And I can tell you about tactics. I can teach you about life and death problems and tell you about them and go ahead and solve them and all sorts of stuff. I can tell you about everything and do my best to try and really try and like explain how all this works. But at the end of the day, you kind of just have to try it out. Because that's just how it is. Yeah, no matter what I do here. Rip. Can't play here. If I play here, white just captures this. Oh no. Yep. Now these two are alive. Generally, you shouldn't do what I do because I should read ahead and look ahead. White to kill. I'm trying to figure out how to kill this group. If I play here, that's just going to be a really simple way for me to just lose the game. Because if I play here, what black can play here, and no matter, you know, if I try to extend or save it, it's just going to form two eyes, and nothing I can do can save it. And so if I play here, black can play here, threaten to Atari this piece, and if I extend here, well, that's just a simple capture, and that's basically two eyes. So if I play here, or here, if I play here, well, I feel like that's just going to be an easy... Oh, why don't we try here? Oh, wow, okay, that's incredibly... Yep, this I can, because no matter what he can, no matter what black does, like if black tries to play here, well, I can always just, it's just one eye anyway, and now they're fully disconnected. Nothing black can do can save it. Even if he tries this, well, you know, no point. Also, that. So once I do this, black can try and extend, try and escape, but I have enough room to basically prevent him from doing so. So, no matter what, black is just screwed. That's kind of, you basically kind of get used to the patterns through doing such things. I can tell you, again, all these weird things, all these turns, all this stuff, but generally, the only way you're going to actually be able to learn it and get better at it is by actually playing the game. Before I end this video, I want to introduce you to the concept of Kami no Ite, also known as the Hand of God, the Divine Move, or God's Move, or whatever you would like to call it. It is, in concept, the perfect move. It's not necessarily playing perfectly. It is effectively a single move that a player can play to turn an entire game around. Like, say you're losing, and you play a move so perfect that no matter what happens, you will turn the entire situation around. You go from winning to losing. And there's only been like a few cases that I've been able to find that's been on YouTube, that's been on like Google and such. And it's generally a move that is so perfect, so godly, that it's just, there's no way to really... It's something that a lot of Go players, after hearing about it, and after seeing it in action as well, it's like you want to play a move like that in a real game. You want to like have that happen. And it's something that is considered divine because not even AI, which I'd like to give a little bit of historical context in regards to the divine move. A lot of modern AI, such as ChatGPT and, you know, art generation AIs, all kind of derive from AI that was built to defeat the strongest Go player in this game. The entire learning algorithm and such was built, the learning algorithm that we use today as of, this, 19, or not 9, September 24, 2024, for a while now. AlphaGo, the AI that was built to defeat the top player in this world who plays Go, its learning algorithm is the main reason why all AI in this entire world, it's based off of how its learning algorithm works. Because typically, even with like chess AI, they tended to code strategies in and try to program like actual intelligence and stuff like that. With AlphaGo, programmers had to basically use AI to learn from actual real life examples in games. And why am I telling you this? Basically, divine moves are moves so perfect, not even AI could have seen them coming. It is literally a move that an AI wouldn't even consider through thousands, tens of thousands of simulations, from what I recall anyway. It might just have been 1,000, but considering how computers are pretty damn fast, tens of thousands is probably not a lot, and probably the realistic amount. Tens of thousands of different games and scenarios and different moves and considerations. Divine move is something that not even a computer, with all of its perfections and its very, very strict precision, it can't predict this move. It is a move so perfect, so brilliant, that AI cannot match to it. It is quite literally the hand of God. Not even literal perfection can defend against this move. That is just how awesome this move is. Kami no Ite is something that I want to strive to play if I end up managing to reach a professional skill level. I still have a lot to go because I don't really play the game of Go every single day. I would love to, but I have work and everything of the sort. And it's one thing that I feel that if you do end up getting into the game of Go, I feel like that you want to play it as well. That you want to search for this move. And if you've watched Hikaru no Go, it's an anime about this game. It's a more popular one. I actually found it trying to find like another different Chinese cartoon, specifically actually Chinese, about the game, but ended up stumbling across Hikaru no Go, and goddamn, it's good. I'd recommend watching it if you haven't. But it's the reason why one of the characters in that anime was always striving to find and play it. God's move is like literally perfection, and I don't know how to really explain it other than that it is just that fucking amazing. And I want to do it myself. And if you end up getting into this game, that I believe that this is something that's going to interest you. I believe that you also want to strive for this, because it is just that fucking awesome. That's going to be it for this video, though. I could dive into a bit of the culture and history behind it, but you don't need all of that to play this game. Though, if you do get into this game, I think you would find the historical stuff and all the cultural stuff related to this game very interesting. Not just because past games can help you understand how to play the game of Go better, because the decisions that the players make back then are still just as good, but because there's been plenty of crazy games, such as the guy who ended up dying prematurely and vomiting blood all over the board the game just ended up like just doing that prematurely. And there's also like this one game where an atomic bomb was dropped on, or not directly on them, but like 5 kilometers away. And it's called like the Atomic Bomb Go game or whatever, Atomic Go game. And they just kind of kept going on their match and finished it. There's a lot of crazy shit that has happened within the history of Go and professionals, and how this game has kind of gone on throughout the history of things happening. And I think that it's incredibly, incredibly neat to learn, and that if you get into the game of Go, you'd also want to learn it. But for the time being, you don't really need to learn what that game is, what all the stuff that's happened in regards to this game, all its players and stuff. Things do get crazy, and I think it's fun and awesome to learn about it. Like, imagine finishing this game after an atomic bomb has literally dropped 5 kilometers away from you. Like, that's not far. They just kept on going. Building was fine. The board looked fine. There wasn't much changed. Let's just finish this game. All right, let's get this game finished. And some guy got the title. So, yeah. But for all that it's worth, I hope that I've done a good job at introducing you to the game of Go, some of its basic tactics and strategies, and that you find some enjoyment in coming and playing it, because it's not necessarily that hard of a game, but it's a very, very fun game because it can go either or way. Anything can happen, just with these black and white pieces and all of its simple rules. Anything can happen, and it's genuinely so fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and again, I genuinely hope that you guys have learned something new, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and if not, I hope to see you guys somewhere else on the internet, or maybe at an actual Go match. If I end up reaching a professional level, I might I don't want to work at my job anymore, so if I can get paid by playing some good Go, why not? I find it fun and I love it. So that's gonna be it. Have a good day, everybody.